Tax Day. The day when millions of Americans are expected to pay for all government programs, good and bad. Individual welfare and corporate welfare. Roads and the military-industrial complex. Environmental protection and domestic spying. Education and interest on the national debt. On this tax day in 2017, there are protests taking place across the country, calling for Donald Trump, the President of the United States, to finally show his tax returns. Despite Trump bombing Syria, a Russian ally, 9 days ago, there are lingering allegations that Trump is hiding some sort of connection to Russia. And with Trump bombing Syria and saber-rattling against North Korea, it seems as though he could start trying to appease the hawks in both parties. Today, I will be visiting the state capitol in Hartford, Connecticut. There, Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal will be speaking. I will be speaking with attendees of the Trump protest, as well as attendees of the Libertarian Party protest, organized on the other side of the state capitol. Please do stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. And if you can, while you are listening, please do subscribe to Primo NUTMEG on YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. And also like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Hope you enjoy the show.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to New York Island, from the forest to Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me.
My name is Justin Connecticut, but honestly, my name isn't really important. I could be any one of the tens of millions of people across this country who are demanding to see Donald Trump's tax return. This is an issue that affects every American, regardless of race, social status, citizenship status, sexual orientation, country of origin, or political affiliation. We have the right to understand the extent of his financial relationships and his potential conflicts of interest.
This is what America looks like. And this is what, and I'm going to tell you proudly, this is what Connecticut looks like. People demanding a democracy war. People standing strong for democracy. So, one last message to Donald Trump. You didn't win the election. Yes, you won the Electoral College, but you didn't win the majority of Americans voting that day. And so you have a special obligation to come clean with America. Come clean with the people of the United States of America and show us your tax return. Now, do you think that maybe the reason for rolling back basic protections against pollution might be that Donald Trump is investing in companies that pollute our rivers and streams? I think we ought to know. Do you think that the reason that we have a Muslim ban imposed on 6 countries but not on Saudi Arabia, not on other countries where maybe Donald Trump might have investments in hotels, has something to do with the fact that he's profiting in those countries? Do you think that his proposals on so-called tax reform might have something to do with his benefiting from some deductions that he wants to keep and expand? Do you think he might be profiting as a result of those loopholes and giveaway and special treatment? We need to know. 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 Donald Trump, we need to know. And just so folks understand, we're not asking something novel or original, something basic that past presidents have done repeatedly, historically, in recent history. What he is doing, hiding basic information, is unique and unprecedented. Now, I know Donald Trump likes to be unique. But here's an area where he ought to be following past precedent, and he has to follow the law. And the Amendment Clause of the United States Constitution says, no benefits, no payments, no special breaks from any foreign power or any foreign agent unless Congress approves. Do you think Congress has approved? No. I'm in Congress. I haven't voted. Donald Trump, show us your tax returns so we know whether you are following the Constitution of the United States. And I used to be in the business of enforcing the law when I served as Attorney General here, and there are days when I wish I still had that job. But here's a promise. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that Donald Trump shows us his tax returns. And I am supporting a measure in the United States Congress that will force him to disclose his tax returns. And we may not pass it in the next month, or even in the next few months, or even this year. But I can make one more promise to you. I'm going to take every action I can to make sure that Donald Trump is not above the law. Because nobody is above the law. And we need to keep fighting, keep working, keep resisting, so that we preserve democracy in this country. I want to thank everyone, all of you, for coming out the day before a holiday. Who would have thought? But in Connecticut, we are the Constitution state. We know we have democracy. We're going to keep fighting and keep working. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. You are the representatives of the sales group, our support. Donald Trump, show us your tax returns. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, why were you folks at the protest today?
Because I feel that we have to reveal our taxes. We have to pay taxes. And we don't try to cheat, or we don't try to put anything over on anybody. We have for years paid taxes to help people in our society. And the idea of Trump not revealing his taxes or promoting that you're smart if you don't pay them just makes me sick.
Well, are there things maybe that you pay taxes for that you'd prefer not to? I mean, there are certain government programs.
Absolutely. I don't want to pay for war, but I do. I'm a citizen. I have to do that. And so does he. He has to tell us what he does.
I actually heard at one point after he got elected that there was a thought of a strategy to protest him was for people not to pay their taxes to kind of defund Trump's government. Do you think that would be a good idea or a bad idea?
No, because you defunct everything else, including all our other institutions that are holding us up right now.
So while this Trump protest is taking place, on the other side of the Capitol, there is a Libertarian Party anti-tax rally taking place. So we're going to visit that now. So what is your name?
Heather Gwen?
And you organize the Libertarian protest?
Yes.
So what are you folks doing here today?
We basically just want to speak out against our taxes. We're not as worried about what Trump's taxes are. We're talking about our taxes here locally. And they just keep going up.
There's two protests going on at once.
Yes.
Do you agree with the other protest? Do you think that Donald Trump should show his tax return, or do you think it's irrelevant, or what?
Yeah, no, I think he should. I do think that he should. Everybody else has to, you know. But I'm just more concerned with what's going on locally in Connecticut than Trump's tax returns. I'm more concerned about our taxes, what you and I are paying, you know. To me, that's more important.
One of my friends just posted on Facebook yesterday, and I don't know if you agree with the phrase taxation is theft. That's kind of like something that a lot of libertarians believe in. But he was saying, you know, if it's not really theft because you have the option of leaving, you can move. What would your reaction to that kind of sentiment be?
Well, see, I've said the same thing to like socialists that they want to make this country a socialist country. Well, there's plenty of countries that you can move to. So I've been guilty of saying that. But I believe that taxation is theft. I really do believe that. But I believe in just less taxes. You know, income tax, you shouldn't be taxed to work. I believe in sales tax and a flat tax. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I believe that it is theft. So with your income and it's not voluntary. It's this. I'm all about voluntarism. You know.
Again, I guess their argument is, you could still make choices that would lead you not to get taxed. Like you could choose to, I guess, move to some other country where some other government's going to tax you, or you could just choose not to work. So, I mean, are those viable choices, or do you...
No. And like I said, I do believe in low taxes. I believe in some taxes. I believe in maintaining the roads and plows and all that stuff, but everything is it's just not allocated well. I don't want to pay for wars and things like that with my tax money. I'd rather feed people here in America.
We need to impeach Donald J. Trump. Why? Article 1, Section 8 gives war-making power to Congress, and Congress alone. It's not like they said, gee, maybe the Supreme Court can decide if we go to war. It's not like they...
So why did you decide to come to the rally today?
Because I think we need to have Mr. Trump show what he's really got behind the scenes so we have a clear understanding who he is supporting, himself, his billionaire friends, or the people of the United States.
Why do you think that he hasn't shown his tax returns?
I think he's got something to hide.
Do you have anything in mind of what you think that might be?
Possibly could be a lot of his connections with the banks that he has borrowed money from. Deutsche Bank, for example. I believe he owes $100 million to Deutsche Bank. I believe that he has a lot more connections with Ukraine, Russia, some of the former Soviet bloc countries that he may not want us to hear, that he has those connections. For him, his history, how he used to treat the workers that work for him, contractors, not paying them, it's just disingenuous to make all the claims he made during the campaign, and now you see him undoing what he said he would do.
What do you mean in particular?
Well, healthcare, saying that he would make it better, improve it, make everybody happy, keep the age 26 kids on their adult program, lower the costs, and What do you wind up with? Him supporting the Paul Ryan bill, which basically says, hey, emergency room visits are optional. Hospitalization is an optional thing. Basically, all the different things that are mandated in the ACA are now would have been optional. So what do you wind up with? You pay money and you get a Band-Aid because everything's optional.
So last question, what does your sign say?
Well, I just tried to make the analogy between Nixon and Trump. They share a lot of characteristics from a psychological standpoint, in my opinion. Paranoia, egotistical, working during the election cycle in a little, maybe with some subterfuge and in a little bit of a alleged unethical way. But Mr. Nixon was the first president to release his taxes. He also was the first president to quit. And I'm just asking, Mr. President, do one or the other.
So why did you attend the protest today?
Because I would like Donald Trump to show his taxes.
Now, do you think that he's hiding something, or is it just a matter of principle?
I certainly think he's hiding something.
What do you think he's hiding?
I think he's hiding his connections to Russia, as well as other investments that you would be able to equate his policies to for his benefit.
See, something that I guess personally concerns me or worries me is, when we talk about these kinds of issues like connections to Russia and specifically a global nuclear power, it's worrisome to think that we could get to a situation where our relationship would be getting worse or even confrontational with them. And that's something I guess maybe that threw me off too about Trump bombing Syria last week, because they're a Russian ally.
I think it's all theater. I think that because he had to tell the Russians beforehand, hey, we're about to bomb this. So what did the Russians do? Hey, get our guys out there. Let's let the Syrians know, put some old planes in place, and then we'll let everybody see that you're doing something.
But just geopolitically, are you concerned that long-term, maybe after the Trump administration, the U.S. and Russia may have, we may return to the Cold War?
Well, I look at it this way. I believe it was 1948, the Russians said, you're about to be on the level playing field with us, and then they detonated a nuclear weapon. This is exactly the same thing, it's just a different theater. I actually, although it pains me to say, I agree with Dick Cheney. This was an act of war by Russia.